One of the issues, well, I'll start with Team Morgan always seems to be delayed. We always seem to be behind everybody. People are throwing Senkos, 5 years later I might throw a Senko. They throw A-rigs, 5 years later I throw an A-rig. Forward facing sonar still ain't there yet. So we're always delayed. So with our Mercury 250, everybody seems to know about the trim pin problem. I am now educated to know what the trim pin problem is. And what it is nothing more than a bolt that loosens up and falls out. The pin starts to migrate out, and the trim sensor is a Hall effect sensor. So it just picks up on magnetic field. It doesn't actually contact anything. So what happens is this is a magnet epoxied into the pin, and that's all the pin is. This is the recess that original equipment style. This little bolt with the little nubby on it fits into that recess like such. This is actually the old pin. You can see that it was tight enough, long enough, it kind of embedded a little bit of the material, just kind of shadowed the pin a little bit. This is so that you can turn it after you put it in. So when this screws through the eye, you can turn it so that you can get that to engage. The problem is that blue Loctite comes off, pin falls, bolt falls out, pin migrates out. So the problem that I had was the bushing that this pin rides in, one on each side like such, fell out. I saw that it was like that the one time, and it actually clipped the trim motor and put a bend in it, but I was able to drive it back in. We got the day out of the tournament. The bolt never really loosened and fell out, but the bushing did, which I thought odd. So me being me, I've got a spare bushing. I'm getting more. I ordered 3 additional, but they arrived flat. I don't like flat bushings, they're round. You'll see that it's actually split. And these are only aluminum with a fiber bearing surface that they ride on, so they're not really super strong. So what happens is, imagine my finger being the trim sensor, and it just sits there like that, and what that does is it knows where this is by the Hall effect, the magnetic field within there, and if it does this and comes out, put your engine into limp mode. Once the engine goes into limp mode, then you have a hard time getting back. So I put new style with a stud and a lock nut with Loctite on it. These will stay spare in the boat just in case I'm 100 miles away and I run into trouble. But one of the things that I could not find on YouTube, so here you go. Calibrate the Mercury ProXS trim. Very simple procedure to calibrate the trim on the smart gauge. So simply power it up. I'm actually surprised I couldn't find this somewhere else, but we'll title this one Smart Gauge Mercury Trim Calibration. So I've always had mine on the troll section because I always run it with the tachometer on, and then when I trim up and down, it switches over to the trim. So my trim got knocked out of whack, obviously, in the pin replacement. So to calibrate it, you simply press your plus minus once, and it goes into your main menu. You simply use the plus button to go down to settings, select it, and use your plus button or your minus button to go up or down, and find where it says, hope you can see that, find where it says trim. Just went by trim right there, select it, and we want to go down to where it says calibration, select it, trim fully down, and press the button, plus button when ready. So you basically just trim all the way down, hit the save button, which is the plus button, trim fully up. Now what that means is you're trimming it up till it comes off the double pistons. So it's going to come off the double pistons, and you can tell just by bumping it. So as soon as you bump it and it's on the double pistons, you're all the way up for a full trim there. You hit the plus, and then you go to what they call trailer mode, which is basically all the way up, can't come up anymore. And then when it's all the way up there, you hit the plus button. And you are now done calibrating it. You simply go to the exit, you hit the exit, you hit that down to exit on the next screen, you hit exit. I run mine under propulsion. Pick that mode and I'm there. So I have my water settings, I have my oil settings with oil pressure, I have fuel used, I have my hours 174, and then I have my trim. So I'm all the way up. When I hit the double pistons, I'm going to be at 10, which is your max up. And then when you hit your all the way down, that's about usually where we run. So you'll see I'm pretty far up at 6.5. My Ranger one, look where that is. That thing, that's so freaking far out of whack. I don't know what that thing even does. The only gauge I find with a little bit of accuracy is my fuel gauge, is a little bit, and my water pressure gauge. But I also have water pressure and oil pressure on this. And then I leave it on my RPMs. So when I'm running on RPMs, I see it. And when I trim, it automatically selects over to trim. That's it, easy peasy. Calibrating the Hall Effect electronic trim switch with the Mercury Smart Gauge. Peace out, y'all.